All right. So we are back live and in color. Last week, I was kindly substituted by Mr. Scott Landis and Mr. Dick Burns. And I'm going to bring in some friends here because, I don't know what's going on with Stefan. His camera seems to be dying on us. It's not a good start. Your computer really is hating you tonight.
It really is. So frustrating.
Just like deciding, like, oh, well, robot. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't work.
I know. Wild. Are you guys able to see me now at least or no?
I see you. I can see
you were
you.
blue for a second.
But
I envy a man who blew himself.
I'm
gonna just let that one ride out.
That's the first of many. So we are back. Dick, how was North Carolina last weekend?
North Carolina was great last weekend. We had the tournament for AJ's family, and I'd say it was a wild success. Everyone from the community came out to support it. People I hadn't seen in a long time came out and supported it. My son Graham was there. I haven't seen my son in a long time. I don't think you even know my son Graham.
No.
But yep, Gerald took it down. He defended the home team from Turbo Stomp and his team coming in from Triangle Area Games trying to take over, but no, Gerald put the smack down on him. And AJ and his family had a great time, and that's the most important thing. So
yeah, we're gonna check out that a little bit later. We have a video for it, which I'm excited to share, even though it took Dick like an entire week to send it to me.
Sure, I've been a busy guy.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Hey, I was on here.
You know how busy I've been? All right. I spent 2 whole days in Disneyland. Okay?
Yeah, real busy. I couldn't believe how much you responded to like chats and stuff. My phone would have been away forever.
We were fine.
Although it is Disney, so you have to use your phone for
in
everything.
some lines, so but our mom Melissa was our tour guide along with Ben, so I didn't really have to do a whole lot of work. I mostly just had to follow where they were going. So
that's cool.
So how about our guest? This is our first guest of 2025.
It's true. It's an
honor. How's it going?
That's true. So for those that do not know, I want to give you the show here. Go ahead and tell everyone who you are, good sir.
Yeah, definitely. So my name's Stefan Delgado. I'm the Director of Marketing and Technology for Southside Gaming. Prior to that, still working on it, we actually met through a Discord channel that we had created primarily for like the South Florida Lorcana players. So we just kind of networked that way and kind of segued my way into working at SSG in a more impactful role. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, we are excited to hear about it. You are here later because in the show we got some details for all of our South Florida friends for the wonderful weekend that we had already talked about a whole bunch. We got a 10K coming up. That should be fun. But before we get to that, we are going to do some more serious stuff, I guess, because last weekend was a busy weekend. 2 of us in this room were busy last weekend. Actually, I guess you were kind of busy, Dick. You had your own little thing going on.
I was so busy. I always have a little thing.
I guess it was fine, but a couple of us were in Anaheim, and we were there for LCQs and NACC. So this was the list that I played in the LCQ. I lost in round 3 to another Amethyst Steel player. His version was a little bit bigger than mine, had tinks and big tinks. Aside from that, pretty much the same. Oh, he also had Robin Hoods. That's right. So he had like Robin Hoods and tinks. So he was just like a flat out bigger version than me. And he won the die roll. Two games, one on the play. I won my game on the play. That was just kind of like the event. But, this is a list that I worked on from CCS 2K until the LCQ. Went undefeated in CCS, won a tournament the following weekend, and then kind of just like mess and match different things over the next couple weeks. For me, the big standouts were John Silver. I think that's a card that is not played in many steel decks. I think he is phenomenal. I think the other big takeaway, and the biggest thing I've said about Amethyst Steel for like anyone that's asked, and the reason why it's so successful is because I think that you could build this deck with 80 cards. So like any version of this 80 cards is likely good enough if the curve makes sense. So as long as you're not like, oh, I'm going to play, 25 drops, like your deck is successful. This version for me was just like where I want it to be. White Roses was just a not good card, in all honesty. Like that was like my biggest takeaway over the last several weeks of testing was that White Roses just sucked, and I didn't want to play it anymore. So John Silver kind of took that place. Lawrence was just a giant body. I think these are a few of these cards that you don't really see too much. And then everything else from there is really a testament to the 3-game format of just wanting to be surprising my opponents on the draw as much as possible. Madam Mim, the Witch Madam Mim, and the Mickey Mouse Flag Bearer there, they were just 2 cards that on the draw completely blew up my opponent. And in a format where you're like, gotta win on the draw, can't just lose all my die rolls and like pray, I think you need to find ways to like break serve in those matchups, especially when your tournament life is on the line. Like we're playing single elimination in a 5-round tournament, and like you gotta find a way to win. I just really bet on some of these cards trying to find me a way to victory. So that's the key differences, I would say, in this list compared to like the generic version, was just me committing to a couple cards that people probably weren't expecting. But aside from that, anyone questions? You guys are here. Go for it. Fire away.
So the John Silver is interesting because I was looking at a couple of Amber Steel lists that were using him.
Yep.
I tried some testing with him so far and haven't really hit the success that others have.
Mm-hmm.
I think just because Amber Steel just has such a commanding presence with a lot of the removal and just the aggro pressure. I still will test with him more though, because I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing for set champs. It's definitely going to be Amber Steel. Just don't know what kind of spice I'm putting in. But John Silver's was there. I also tried Sven too, but it's nice to see that a lot of the steel cards here are very similar to what I would expect in Amber Steel. So just it goes to show that like with Steel being such a great support ink, paired with another really good support ink, really just makes a really well-rounded deck.
Yeah.
I have a local here, Nassif on our team, who is a diehard Amethyst Steel player, and I'm sure that he's gotten some insight from a couple of these well-performing lists from the Nationals, and probably will be bringing something nice and spicy to the set champs as well.
Are you good there, Dick?
Yeah, all I was thinking was, when you just have 2 like amazing colors and you just smush them together, you're just gonna win some games.
Yeah, I mean,
like I feel like there's nothing more for me to add past that. It's just like the best purple cards, the best
core
cards.
The core is the core. However you build from there is just like kind of whatever. Shout out to Melissa. She also played Amethyst Steel, but obviously her version here was a little bit more low to the ground. She couldn't give up the docs, unlike how I did. She lost in the second round of the LCQ, but really the big shout out here is on Saturday and Sunday. Whatever, that's your fault for not sharing your final list. On Saturday and Sunday, she ended up going 4-2, or 8-2 in both tournaments. So like she went 3-0-2 both tournaments and didn't prize either tournament because the prize structure sucked.
I was gonna say, you got nothing, right?
Yeah, like I'm saying, you're talking about two events in a row where she's in the top 32 or like on the bubble of the top 32 and didn't win any prizes, but like the deck still performed. Being 302, if you're 302 in a DLC, you're sitting pretty going into the final 4 rounds. So like that's a good position. It just sucked that the structure kind of sucked, but like the real concept here is like, again, is that Doc is still a perfectly fine way to play this list. Again, I think Amethyst Steel has 80 playable cards. Like however you want to play this, you can be successful. It really doesn't matter. We'll talk about Colby. So Colby went all the way to the finals of the LCQ and lost in game 3 to Decking. So bit of a heartbreaker for him, of course. We have another follow-up deck about this later, but what this deck did do, I think, better than most decks. I also know this wasn't the final version of his either. I think there were some cards that were changed late in the game, but on the gameplay channel, there was a video of me playing against Braden playing this version of the deck from a few weeks ago on stream, and really it was just showcasing Prince John and Raya, two cards that like don't see a whole lot of love. Prince John is actually cracked. I totally recommend more Blue Red players checking him out. I think it's so hard to describe what he does because he does so much, but like he's sort of like Hiram 5-8. He's sort of like Popsicle 5-8, and he's sort of like more versions of Tamatoa also. Like he literally fills all of those roles at a 4-cost slot with like an okay stat line as well. So that's a card that I think that people have not respected in a while. I know the big change. I wish I would have got his update list. I thought I did, but the big change was Poison Apple, which is a shout out to Alex and Chaotic. They were playing Poison Apple and they're testing, and they kind of like led us onto it. And that was like one of the final cards that like made this list. And it was a big deal with Prince John because having the ability in your Amber Steel matchups to like 86 Rapunzels just for free is like kind of degenerate on repeat. And then having the ability to exert a character and then bring in a card like Aladdin or a card like Maui Shark to Vitalispear was also huge in swing turns. So like this deck really was just like a differently like concocted challenging deck that really made a difference. But Prince John was the absolute key to all of it. So that's really the big takeaway about this list in particular is I think in the end, like the Queen of Hearts got cut. And I know the Potions of Might got cut and they got turned into other things as well. So this was like 2 weeks ago list, and I just didn't update the slides. I forgot to, but all in all, the big takeaway was like Prince John, and the joke of the weekend was that the morning of LCQ, Colby counted his deck and it was 62 cards. And he goes, oh shit, like I messed up. I got to cut down to 61 because Colby's always plays 61 cards. And then he lost himself to decking at even 61 cards.
So painful.
So yeah, definitely a rough showing for Colby. But any comments there about this different type of red-blue list?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Prince John before, and I think it's significantly better now with more people playing Amethyst decks. Like, especially in my area, it was a lot of Amber Steel, and it was very unreliable to ready with this card. But when you're playing against a lot of like Ruby Amethyst, for instance, they basically have 2 Medusas or Be Prepared, and especially if you have Raya to ready it.
Yeah.
You know, so you're getting around Maui's and stuff like that. So yeah, again, like I said, Genie so impactful. It's another way that it, you know, it's got a trickle effect going on in the metagame.
Genie's correct.
Yeah,
except
I love it.
It doesn't need Genie.
Apparently, there was a big discussion about that at locals, and I said, you know, I haven't looked at the deck list or the coverage much, but people need to understand that like these top tier players had charts of what they thought everyone would be playing, and they were metagaming for a specific tournament of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
So don't copy that for your locals, just thinking it's, you know.
Yeah, he's already gone on record saying that like the deck was made for that. It wasn't made for set championships. Like people are going to go and copy it for set championships and probably lose. But like, hey, that's life. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, we could try and warn them because that's why I told all my locals, because, you know, they know about ink decks, but they don't necessarily follow people's Twitters and stuff like that.
Yeah. Very, very fair. So let's give a shout out to our own top 16 member here. Matt Oki did hit with a 60 card Ruby Sapphire list. As you can see, we did stick with the Prince Johns, but none of the other spice really made the list. We did go with Great Stone Dragon and Lucky Dime. I know from talking with Matt on the weekend, the only matchup that Lucky Dime was relevant was his round 7. He actually had a mirror against DKP, and Lucky Dime won him the mirror match. Aside from that, he said that it was mostly like ink with Tipo and things like that, so it wasn't the best card, which is kind of what reason why we didn't play it beforehand. Like Colby and Ben both played the version of Ruby Sapphire with the Prince Johns and things like that, the Poison Apples, and they did not play Lucky Dime. Matt, was the opposite. Liked how Lucky Dime played, kept it in the list. The other big change is Greystone Dragon. I think Greystone Dragon is a phenomenal card, and it's really nice to just like get a free ink every turn, and like even in the mirror, like just not having to ink your own big cards is a big deal, because I think really the mirror, what comes out of the mirror most often is who has the more like bombs at the end of the game, So if you can prevent yourself from, being forced to ink your Tamatoas and inking your Maleficents, and you can get away by like re-inking Tipo and re-inking Baby Sisus and things like that, it helps you kind of like get to that point in the game and still have all your threats in your hand. So I think that's like a pretty big deal for the mirror. Obviously, it's like better than Fishbone Quill against Amber Steel Songs, which is definitely a big deal. So it's definitely a give and take to the matchup, but I know that it was a card that Oki really liked and really enjoyed. I know the one card that stands out to me even still is the Shield. I don't know why we're playing Shield. I don't really get it, but Oki clearly liked it a bunch.
It's shielding Prince John. It's just another thing to play after a sale on 2, and just another thing for Hiram.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like sometimes Fishbone Quill was literally just friends on the other side, because you just play it and quest with Hiram.
Yeah, that's a terrible way to use it, but like,
but what else are you gonna do? And when you have a Hiram going, any item is just like the best draw of all time.
That's fair. All right, so our final, since we do have an Amber Steel player here, our final list was John, who took this to a 34th place finish, just bubbled out on tiebreakers for top 32 to get the Elsa's Palace. So sad. But before anyone starts doing any counting, this is a 64 card list. We had a debate about it. He didn't want to hear it. This is what he wanted to play. So this is what we got. It's obviously has everything, right? I think for me, like the first comment I had made was like, just don't play like giant Floodborn Zimba and move on with life, and you could just have 60 cards in your deck. But that's not what John wanted to do. Ironically, for those who don't know, which I think is funny, is that John actually played Oki and 2-0'd Oki. So there was also a weird team death that like kind of sucked, but Oki still was able to manage to finish 7th overall. So I guess it kind of worked out. But Oki's only loss in day one was to his own teammate playing a 64 card list, which I think is kind of funny. Inevitably, what Oki also lost to was Amber Steel Song. So clearly could be a bit of a frustrating matchup for like the newer Ruby Sapphire players, but that's what the 2 losses were on the format. Any thoughts to this 64 card list here? Like I said, for me, I would have cut Zimba's, been at 60 cards and been kind of happy.
Yeah, that's the first thing that stood out to me. It was just take out the Zimbas. I haven't enjoyed them. I know like Frank Carson had that highlight moment of returning the Lilos, shifting the Zimba. It's so much ink. It's so late in the game. I don't know. I just feel like drawing the uninkable 5 costs 4/4 has been more hurtful. But I also think John's a better player than me. So I don't know. I could be wrong.
Couldn't make a decision. We told
that list is really interesting, and like it's funny because like down here in locals, another teammate of mine, Freddie, he tends to go a bit beyond 60 cards as well too, and sometimes it just works. I don't know how. I mean, he's not playing with the Simbas, but I can definitely see the challenges with having to commit so much to do such a power play with the Shift Simba and the Lilos and stuff like that. It's just you'll get like probably the definition of high roll.
Yeah.
Or he wanted to get featured on Podcana. He wanted to give Moyen an aneurysm.
Yeah, 64 cards in a deck that like wants to see a whole new world on turn 3 on average. It's just like blows my mind. It's kind of where I'm at with it. How about you down there? How was your LCQ experience?
So unfortunately, I didn't get in. I was at locals and I was on a heater, and I missed the announcement when the tickets dropped. So I did get first place that night, which felt great, but not as much as a consolation prize of being able to go to the LCQs. But a couple of the locals and teammates were able to go. None of them made their pod into the actual event, but we did have Hector, who had already qualified from Toronto, I believe, either Toronto or Texas. So he was already qualified. So and then he, let's see, he did pretty good towards the end, until towards the end, and I think just missed. But other than that, also SSG vended there, and they said it was a really great experience. I got to meet a lot of people, a lot of people interested in our upcoming 10K, which is really nice. And it's just great. I mean, it's unfortunate I didn't get even a chance to go up there with the team that did vending, but it's logistically it's gonna be a lot easier to go to Worlds when we get that information.
Only a couple hours away.
Allegedly.
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, as someone that was in the room and saw how busy SSG was at vending, I can say that it was packed, and every time I walked over there, they were sorting cards. So clearly they did a lot of buying and a lot of selling, which is great. I know I spoke with Jack, who was in the same pod as Melissa and our teammate Kyle. So like that pod was pretty stacked. Aside from that, I think Logan was also in it. There was like 8 people that were in that pod. Were like, wow, like any of you guys can win. Ferrante was in that pod as well. So yeah, there was like a bunch of different players that were like all in that same one, like that same pod, which it was kind of crazy to see like how the pods were all laid out, because in the first round, I wasn't really sure like where all of the players in my pod were, because like it was kind of spaced out weird. And I wasn't sure if there was like players like on like the table in front of me or the table behind me along with next to me. So like in my first round of my pod, I really didn't know who was in it. It wasn't until the second round where you're like, oh, okay, like now I can see everyone that's in the pod and everything like that. But they figured out very quickly that their pod was just stacked. But yeah, I did have a good conversation with Jack about the Blurple matchup, because he actually eliminated a couple Ruby Sapphire opponents, which is not a great matchup in general for Ruby Sapphire on average. So it was interesting to see him like kind of like get through some of them, inevitably lose, but still made a good run of his own. But yeah, it looks like we lost Stefan again, sadly.
Stefan down. He's having a rough night.
Computer's not there for him tonight, guys. So, but yeah, it was I would say that like Friday in the event hall was like the best day of the weekend, in all honesty. Like it was the most lively day, the most active tournament day, aside from the fact that it took almost 2.5 hours for LCQ to actually start, which was frustrating for all of us that were all like already anxious, just wanting to get going. But I mean, that's kind of just life.
Everyone was still starry-eyed. They had the whole weekend of great events ahead of them, and then they hit the events. So they were still happy on Friday.
Yeah, very, very true. All right, so while we wait for Mr. Stefan to get back, we can talk about this if it lets me. I think this is what we want. So go ahead, Dick. Give us a little idea of what we're watching here.
Well, we are watching Well Played Games. in Greenville, North Carolina, and we were having an event there for AJ and his family. And right now we're just gonna go over the prizes, and we have a little surprise for AJ.
It's really hard to hear the video. So what prizes?
Yeah, so the prizes were 8 different enchanteds. Runner-up Stitch Mat from Rebirth TCG. We had some enchanteds from Unplugged Games. Let's see, Turbo Stomp donated some stuff on behalf of Triangle Games. AJ got something directly from Gilded Dragon. So many people in the community brought me stuff. Jorge sent me stuff all the way from Puerto Rico. It was absolutely amazing. We had like 32 players, and literally everyone got a prize. I brought some extra. I brought some extra boxes to make sure everyone get at least something. And then Joel would only play his DuckTales theme deck. So anyone that had any card from DuckTales got an extra pack. They didn't know that beforehand. So that was awesome. And yeah, it was such an amazing thing to see. I feel absolutely blessed that like I was able to talk about this event coming up, and that people sent stuff, and that like we could get the community together. And then of course AJ got a jersey for TFM. Him and his family were so happy, and he gets this before me. Only the winners get hoodies.
Let's go. He's not a problem already over there. Yeah. That just
it's absolute blessing to be in this position, honestly. Like all I've ever wanted to do was build up the community, and seeing it in action, like I could like almost cry. It was like a huge weight off my shoulders that it was going so well, you know.
Yeah, it was nice to see. I waited a whole week to see that video, but you know.
Well, you were busy hugging Baymax. Yeah.
Hey! Someone said that was Doc and not Baymax, but you know.
I did not see.
So the final list that we're going to talk about is the Cow to My Will deck, or the Bend to My Will deck, however you want to call it, Baja Blast, which is what I have figured out over the weekend that I am a true enjoyer of, and this deck is an absolute menace, I think. But we did release a whole video on this deck today, so if you want to check out this deck, then definitely just go check out the video. Colby did a wonderful job. Huge shout out to Colby. Normally when I ask people to do something, they don't always do it, and Colby did it, and it was awesome, and it was exciting because I didn't have to. So I also heard that Dick Burns played this deck and sucks, so there's that too.
I am terrible. Although I felt better watching the video, because I lost the die roll to Amber Steel, and I won. Yeah. I easily won the game I was on the play, and I barely lost the games I was on the draw. But when he said like, you know, the play draw actually mattered in that, I felt a little better. But yeah, I'd been to my will. My opponent has zero cards in hand, 5 ink, 3 characters. One of them's Ariel, so he drew a whole new world off the top. It's like, what am I gonna do? The game is over on the spot. Yeah, it is so frustrating.
You are too hard on yourself. This is very, very true.
Yeah, I'm always hard. So what am I gonna do? Yeah, well, it's just like I look at. I'm telling you, 2-game format did this for me, because I'm just like, dude, if I flew all the way to Australia, I'd be out already. You know.
Not necessarily true, but you would make yourself feel like you were out already.
Oh, I'd be out already.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
That's the problem with the format, is that it's not that you're out early, it's that you're still in, as long as you just like have the pain tolerance to get through it.
I don't know if you saw in that video, Lorcana has made me pull my hair out. All right. Like I've had to resort to getting
new hair. God, we made a joke about you having lime green hair, and you actually have it. I didn't even know this.
I can't tell you how itchy this thing has been under my hood this
It
entire
doesn't work at all in your green screen. It's kind of hilarious.
No, I know, it's perfect. It's perfect. I
That's
designed
amazing.
it. I put a number 6 in my hair on purpose.
Look at that. Melissa's in love. We literally, I'm not kidding. We were talking about the 2025 jerseys and flopping to go all lime green. And we're like, yeah, Dick just has to dye his hair lime green for DLCs now. It's no big deal, right?
No problem. No problem at all. Now, the sad truth is,
yeah, I know. Yeah, I saw that.
The sad truth about this is I actually have a break to shave my head. I usually give my head a break because I bleach it so much. It just destroys my head. And I hadn't had a break. And now all of a sudden I've got, who knows, a year before the next DLC. So
well, let's hope it's not that long. But
yeah, but you know, if we knew the schedule, one time I didn't bleach my hair before a DLC, I got destroyed all weekend. Everyone that walked by, wow, your hair doesn't look great this week. that purple didn't stick there. Liz, oh, come on.
All right, so let's move on to our next subject here with our wonderful guest, Stefan. We have a 10K coming up at Southside Gaming. And this was like insane. The moment it was announced, within 3 hours, you guys sold out at 108 players. But, you're here. You know all the details about this. So we're going to give you a kind of a moment here to talk us about it. Talk about Southside Gaming. Tell us why people should be excited about Southside Gaming in 2025.
Yeah, definitely. So thanks for the handoff there. Yeah, so Southside Gaming obviously extremely interested in maintaining the Lorcana scene down here in South Florida and being one of the literally wanting to become the place to play Lorcana in the area. We've had some pretty big success on a couple of our local tournaments already. Capped out our last one. This one obviously capped out immediately, so there's a lot of interest. I see a lot of familiar names in the area, as well as some that are not so in the area, which is kind of nice. So we definitely have some big reach. We're doing our first cash tournament and we wanted it to be big. And so, 10K is pretty significant, especially for being our first cash tournament, which is really nice. So, we're looking to just get great players out here, checking the scene out, checking the store out, getting our name out there, and again, just being a bigger part of the Lorcana competitive scene, especially in the off season too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing, I don't think it's been announced or addressed yet, but I know at your last one, you had side events all day long as well, right? So I don't know if you guys are planning to do something like that again, but they were still like, hey, if you show up, it's a 108 player tournament, which is 8 rounds, if I remember correctly. If you do beta, you don't have to leave, especially for people that are flying in,
right.
People that are flying in, every tournament's a new tournament, and some days you have bad days. So the idea that you can actually go somewhere else, I think, is a pretty big deal, and play in other events, not be immediately removed. But you guys capped this event in 3 hours, 108 players, which is incredible. But there was a lot of people that were sad. So what did you guys decide to do with some upset people? What's our new plan here?
Well, a lot of things going on behind the scenes. I was super excited, definitely, for the interest, and obviously we'd love to have space for as many Lorcana players to come and play. We did do a final head count. We were able to make an expansion for up to 150 players into the 10K. So that gets everybody who was on the wait list, and as of right now, there are 4 spots left. So if people are interested in trying to squeeze in on this last minute 10K, now's the time to do it. Not only that, but you can definitely make a weekend of it, because we plan on having a follow-up event as well too. We usually do our events every month, but in this case, we're doing an event on Sunday, the following day.
I just posted the link for the 10K in the Discord. I'm
Awesome.
sorry, in the Twitch chat here. But
Okay, cool.
we have the 5K, so here it is.
Yeah, so that just rolling into that. Yeah, so we are going to do a day 2 5K. Same situation, so starts at 10 o'clock, $15 entry, and this is 5K cash. I haven't found out what the top cut split will be on this, but we can assume it'll be very similar to what it's like on the other event that's gonna probably cap out. So I'll get those numbers and I'll get them posted on the event under the prize section in Melee. And then yeah, so definitely either if you've missed the opportunity to sign up for the 10K, or you're looking to make a weekend out of 2 back-to-back strong event, very, very hot events, come out. We're gonna set this time. We're gonna give people a little bit of time between when, as obviously this is live, and then some people watching it the VOD after the fact.
Yeah,
But
we'll make a social post and all, or we'll retweet
Yeah.
you guys' post.
We'll do exactly. Yeah, we're gonna post it, but essentially, we're gonna open up registrations for the 5K at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So it gives you time to get situated, figure out if you can either extend your trip that you're already coming down for the 10K, or somehow swing by and make it for the 5K only.
Yeah. Is the 5K also going to be the 150 cap?
Yes.
It's a lot of players.
Yeah. So we definitely want to see you guys come out, and then we will be doing side events as well too. So if you either don't do well on day 1 or day 2, or maybe you're in the area and you can only make the 5K, maybe come by a little bit later in the day during the 10K, and you might see some open spots for some win-a-box events. So I mean, like, it's such a great time. If you guys have seen either the stream or social media post, everyone there just has a fantastic time.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to it. We spoke, I think it was like a day or 2 before you guys did the stream, that you guys were doing it big, and I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of this. So I'm super excited to come down. I think it's 5 members of the team.
Nice.
I think it's 4 that are flying down. Myself and Dick are flying down, and then Melissa and Ben, I believe, are flying down. I think Scott is trying to make an appearance too. Well, that'll be nice if he does make it. Then we have Colby, that's local to you guys. So we're excited to come down and hang out for sure. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm super excited to commentate it. I'm excited to just walk around the room. Like I've been saying this for like a year now. Like I love DLCs, and it is fun, playing in them and competing, but like I have a lot more fun when I don't have to care and I'm just like vibing and meeting people and like having a good time and having conversations. So like being able to just go down there, myself, chill, talk with people, do interviews, all that fun stuff. Like that's what I love about Lorcana. So like I'm super excited to be a part of it in that manner. I'm also super excited to just like put a spotlight on a store that's really trying to make an effort, because we just don't have enough of those. That's like the honest truth. Like the same reason why we do so much work with the Encounter in Allentown is that like we don't have enough stores that give a shit about Disney Lorcana in the Philadelphia area. Like they just don't exist. I wish they did. I really do. But it's just kind of just is the way it is. So like I really, as a player, as a content creator, like I appreciate what Southside is trying to do. And I think that it's so very important. And I hope that it's just like a lesson to be learned for the rest of Lorcana, stores, like saying, hey, if it's like Field of Dreams, like if you build it, they will come, like that's kind of the scenario. Like we just put out 150 seats on a whim, and yeah, obviously, the prize incentive is insane and that's great. Like not every store can do that, but I don't think that every store has to do that. Like I think if you just said, hey, our store can hold 50 people and we're going to try and run a 2K, like people are probably going to come, like you just got to be able to advertise it. You got to be able to get the information out there. If people know about it, they normally come. Yeah, that's the big deal. So that's why I'm super excited to be a part of it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And we're definitely glad to have you and the team and anybody else who's going to be coming too. For the locals, they're excited for the expanded competition, which is really fun. And then obviously if the event will go well. But obviously, we definitely don't want it to be the last time some out of towners are coming to visit. We want to make it a worthwhile visit. I
Yeah,
think
I mean, first impressions are everything, So.
exactly. And then besides the event themselves, like we're in a pretty decent area if you'd like the beach, and I mean, Disney's pretty far, but some people might venture up there, but there's a lot to do down here too. So
Sure.
just pretty cool spot, regardless.
Very, very fair. Any other things about the event that we want to chat up? Dick, do you have any questions?
I don't. I'm happy to come. I hate playing, but I like supporting small businesses.
Nice.
Like if this was like some big corporation or whatever, I wouldn't. Whatever. I didn't go to the LCQs. I'm specifically coming because I want this to be successful and to continue.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, like even like the owner Devin, like he's really just all in on Disney Lorcana, right? Whether, I mean, obviously from a business, but just today I was playing some games with him. He's trying to make a Blue Steel Oswald deck work right now, and we're trying to help him. But you know what I mean? Like his heart's there, and it's really nice because he's like, how do I make this better? Or like he plays other meta decks and stuff like that too, but he's involved, right? He's very familiar in the space. To play other TCGs, but he's like, I want to play more Lorcana. So like he kept wanting to go round to round. And I was like, I got to pick up the kids from daycare. So
while we're at it, if anyone in chat has any questions, definitely feel free to drop them in for us, and we'll answer them as we go. Even if Stefan has to answer them in chat, whatever, I'm sure you can do that. So definitely, if you're watching this after the fact and you have any questions, put it in the comments so we know about it. We are super excited to come hang out. Again, everybody I met last weekend were phenomenal. I had so many good conversations with anyone that was wearing an SSG hoodie. Jack is the big standout. I talked to Jack for a little while on Friday, and he was great. I had a great conversation. Kylie, I talked to him on Saturday night, I want to say that we were hanging around in the booth and doing some buying and selling and things like that with the store. So yeah, I think it was Saturday night, but all in all, it was great. I'm very excited to come down, meet everyone. I found out today that I'll be coming on Thursday now, so I'll be there on Friday night for locals. I intend to play locals on Friday night because why the hell not? But if I'm doing other things, I'm doing other things. But I intend to come down and play on Friday night now, so that should be a lot of fun for me. And
nice.
Yeah, I'm excited. So
awesome. Well, we're definitely happy to have you, and again, the rest of anybody who got a chance to sign up, and we hope that you guys have a blast.
Yeah, you said there's 4 spots. There's definitely 5 spots. I have to refund my ticket still. So
fair enough. Well, hopefully anybody who has the opportunity, I know we're not too far out, but if you still have an opportunity to come down.
Yeah, it's funny because it's still like 3 weeks away. And I don't know, like when I got home from NACC, I was like, oh man, I'm going to be getting on a plane in like 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, you know what? Like there's an extra week buffer there. It's weird to say that like February 1st is a Saturday. So it's like, oh, you like somehow just gained an extra weekend out of nowhere. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be fun. I'm excited for sure.
For sure.
So yeah, all of the details of that will be in the description of this video. The Melee links for both tournaments and any other information that is required to be there, I'll make sure that is there. I'll make sure I work with Stefan and get it all correct. But with that, we are going to transition into to part 2 here.